Hey folks, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we have something a little special for you. It's the return of an old disc golf course that has been in the Mobile area for a very long time, but it has been pretty much unplayable for the last few years due to construction. However, thanks to the Mobile Area Disc Golf Association as well as several volunteers, and with construction starting to wrap up, we've been able to bring the Hobbit disc golf course back in action here in Mobile, but with a new layout. Just to give you some brief history, this course was established way back in 2001 or 2002 and kind of became permanent in 2005. A lot of that was due to a local named Buddy Bacot, which a lot of people will probably know if they're from this area. And essentially it ran through what is officially called McLean Park, which is basically on the north side of Springhill Avenue between Springhill and 3 Mile Creek, just kind of all the way to Midtown Mobile basically. Now this course got called the Hobbit, or the park itself did, due to the fact that back in the day, with all of the Spanish moss and the greenery, people kind of saw it as kind of a Shire looking park. And this is back when Tolkien was a very, kind of coming up with his, books. And so people were kind of tying those two things together. And so it kind of got called the Hobbit. There's also a group of volleyball players who used to play on grass courts in this park area since the 1970s. And they too called it the Hobbit, but they called it that because people's feet would get muddy from playing in the grass barefoot. And they would call it Hobbit because of that. And it just kind of stuck when tournaments started getting run. And so here we are. But all these years later, and with construction completed, again, we have a new layout for you, and it is pretty much complete at the time of me putting out this video. There's still some cleanup to be done and a couple of holes that are still a little iffy, but for the most part, it's ready to go. By the time this video comes out, the layout will be on UDisc, so you can play it, but we wanted to show it off here on video to make it easy for you to see all the holes and how to navigate the course. And so we're gonna start off here on hole number 1. All right, so hole 1 is actually gonna start on Levert Drive, which again is just kind of north of Springhill. I think Upham is like one of the ways you can get back here, or via some other side rows. But again, it'll be on UDisc, so it'll be easy to find. But again, hole 1, you're teeing off on Levert Drive. This is the first tee right here. White stakes are going to start getting put in all throughout the course, and tee signs will be coming soon. But this is about 280 feet. The basket's dead straight ahead. You can either go up the middle right at it, but that's a low ceiling shot, so it can be quite technical. There is also a big hyzer route wide right that you can take that's possible. And also you can play something wide left. So if you're a right-handed player, maybe some type of forehand, or if you're a lefty, you can throw a backhand. Just whatever it is, choose your option. Pretty short, but can be technical. All right, so I'm gonna tee off first. My buddy Keith King is gonna be playing with me as well. He's one of our advanced players in the area, so you'll see him playing. But I'm gonna go for the forehand up the left side. Good shot. Here we got Keith here. I think he's going to go for the big hyzer route. So no one choosing to go up the middle, which again is very scared to do that route. Probably about pin high, but didn't just get left enough. All right, so we got Keith up first. He's almost pin high, but a little deep of circle too. Gave it a good run. Can get his par, no problem though. All right, so we're doing this is actually our first time playing the course because we've been working on cleaning it up for the past several weeks. So it's fun to finally actually get out here and play it. I'm sure a lot of people are going to enjoy it too. But I'm like just outside circle 1, probably like a 40-footer for birdie. See what we can do. Just a little low, take a par as well. All right, so you just kind of move over to your left from the hole 1 basket, and it'll bring you to the hole 2 tee pad. This is a 440-ish foot par 4. The basket might be a little difficult to see, but it's basically tucked into this corner over here on the right-hand side of the fairway, kind of right next to these trees. Not sure if I'm catching it or not. Also, it has a very interesting green, which we'll see when we get down there. But yeah, very scoreable par 4 though. So with this being a par 4, I'm just really looking to make sure I get in the fairway. Really the only OB you have to worry about is maybe the sidewalk or the road to the right-hand side. So basically I'm just trying to get something to play pretty dead straight, maybe fade to the left a little bit and set up an approach shot. This is maybe attackable for eagle if you have like a perfect backhand roller, but then you really risk it like rolling right into the road out of bounds. So kind of a just, I think, take your 3 if you can get it kind of hole. That's pretty good. Puts me out in the open in the center of the fairway. Should have a way to approach to get my birdie from there. All right, now Keith's up. Again, I do think the left side of the fairway is a little more open for approaches, but again, you can play really just whatever side you feel comfortable with. That's what Keith wants to do here. I mean, he got about just as far as I did, but he's on the right-hand side of the fairway, and he's still going to have an approach from there. All right, so here we're at Keith's lie. Again, pretty easy little up shot there. Maybe a little bit of a low ceiling to contend with, but other than that, the basket's right there in front of him. Definitely one of the more scoreable holes on the course due to it being a par 4. Yep, pretty much parks it. It's going to be an easy 3 for old Keith. All right, so my lie was more on the left-hand side of the fairway, or more center cut, and so this is kind of the approach that I have. Really all I have to worry about is these power lines, just keeping my disc under that, and just maybe throwing like a little skip forehand or something up there. That's what I'm trying to do. Yep, should be right by the basket. So as you can see, this is a very interesting green. You definitely want to try to land close to the basket. There's a lot of chances you're going to have obstructed putts with this low tree. But generally, you should be able to straddle out no matter where you are and at least have some kind of look at the basket. So it's not like completely unfair or something like that, but it is definitely unique. It's a birdie for me, and Keith's a tap in. I'll pick him up. All right, so now we're at hole number 3, which is basically once you're done at hole 2's basket, you just walk straight towards Levert, and then you'll run into this tee pad. It's 330 feet, basket to the right. It's slightly downhill. Definitely has some low ceiling to contend with these overhanging limbs over the top of the fairway, as well as just kind of right in front of you on the tee box. Really sets up nicely, I think, for some type of left to right moving shot, or something dead straight that you can punch through the low ceiling. Honestly, a backhand roller might not be a bad play here. I'm gonna go with forehand just to play it safe. Mostly looking just for par on this hole. A little bit out of my distance range to safely get there for birdie. Yeah, so that should put me like maybe a long look at birdie, but definitely a pitch up for par. That's what I'm looking for. All right, so Keith's up. I think he's just gonna try to go kind of straight at it with a little flippy backhand. Probably too low. Yeah, he did throw it a little too low. I mean, it's tough with the low ceiling to get the height just right on your disc to actually push forward enough. This is definitely going to be a tougher hole to birdie, I think, for Ams. But a really cool looking hole, though, for sure. All right, so Keith pretty much is pitching up for par from here, or unless he was really feeling it, maybe he's going to go for a long bid. Never know. I mean, he gave it a chance. Almost got it. Good bid. All right, so I'm like maybe deep circle 2 or just outside circle 2. So I probably threw it like maybe 260, 270. So let's see if we can do something. Oh my goodness. I thought for a second I had it. Well, we got some tap in par, so that's nice. All right, folks, after you play hole 3's basket, you're just gonna take a walk back over towards Levert. You'll run into what is hole 4's tee pad. This is about 320 feet. You can actually see the basket dead straight ahead, but I don't recommend that route because it's pretty tight. If no cars are parked here, you could throw some type of forehand or something like that over the road if you're a right-handed player, or like a lefty backhand over the road. Otherwise, I think the main play is either like really crazy wide spike hyzer if you're playing safe, or you could try to flex something through this gap on the right. That's probably the more direct line to have a chance at the basket. Definitely another one of those tougher holes to birdie, I think. A little low, and turn that one over. But I should be able to approach for a par that way. All right, so I think Keith's going to try to take a different route, which is kind of low wide right. We can try to play some skips. Though I will say ground action on this course is kind of random. It's pretty thick grass. He threw it well.
It's gonna be a little wide.
It caught a limb as well, which kind of stopped it from getting any skips.
No ground play here.
All right, so yeah, I definitely threw mine a little too low and overturned it, so I wound up only getting about halfway up the fairway. But I have like a pretty routine up shot to grab my 3. Easy peasy. All right, we're at Keith. He didn't really get the ground action he wanted, but he got nearly pin high. Tree kind of blocking the basket though, so see what he's thinking. What are you thinking?
A little bit of
glory.
A little bit of a floaty hyzer putt.
So he's going for glory.
I gotta
basically
play around this tree. It's pretty wide pine tree. So yeah, I'm definitely running.
No layups today. Ooh, got some metal on it. That's a good bid. So a couple of tap-in pars, and we'll stay at 100 through 4. All right, so hole 5's a little tricky right now. So that's hole 4's basket. You just walk across the street. But right now, construction is blocking what would be kind of the normal tee zone. Normally, we would tee off kind of somewhere right in front of where I'm standing. And the basket is basically right there, as you can see. But with all this equipment in the way, as of right now of this recording, it's not really possible to play hole 5 the way it was intended. But that could all change on any given day. We never really know what's going to happen with construction, so we have to kind of play that by ear. But we do have at least one alternate tee location for hole 5 that we'll show you that you can play if you want to when you come out here, since you can't play it the normal way. And it might also be a potential tip hole that gets used if we have a tournament here or something like that. So we'll show that to you here right now. Basically, what you're going to do is just walk towards that green bin and hang a right and just follow along the creek line to get to the alternate tee location. All right, so that is the green bin I was telling you about. You can kind of see it through those trees, but if you just walk down this creek area, you eventually will hit this sewer cap with these little yellow pylons around it. And basically it points you still to the same basket I showed you earlier, hole 5's basket. So this will be an alternate tee potentially for hole 5. This will be about 315 feet or maybe longer, depending on how far back we push the tee, or could be shorter if we push it a little more forward. Either way, this is kind of just a temporary thing that you can do right now with all the construction over there on the left kind of blocking the intended fairway. Oh, yeah. Not terrible. All right, Keith's up.
I'll try down the middle.
Got up there. Probably edge of circle 1 or circle 2. All right, so I'm like edge of circle 1 for my putt. Little tailwind. Not enough of a tailwind to drop that one, so I'll take a par. Yeah, definitely some obstruction here for Keith, just on the edge of circle 1. See if he can still fire one in there. He threw it into a headwind, so kind of floated on him. So we're going to take pars here and move on. All right, so after you play hole 5's basket, which is right there, you'll walk along the creek line. And this is where hole 6's tee is supposed to be. It's just kind of behind this sewer cap right here at the yellow pylons. It's 330 feet. And you can see the basket sort of right now. You can see the number plate just above these black pipes. Again, construction's kind of blocking this hole from really being played. But this is where it's meant to be, so we figured we'd at least show it. And, you know, hopefully this will eventually all be cleared out soon. We'll be able to play hole 6 as intended. All right, so this is hole 7. Essentially, once you played hole 6's basket down there, you'd walk back towards the creek to get to hole 7's tee pad. This is somewhere between 525 and 550 feet. It's a par 4. You have pretty much a wide open lane if you can stay straight. You do have the creek to the right, though. That can be dangerous if you overturn something or if you try to hyzer out something over it and don't quite make it back. The more left you go, the more congested it gets, which makes the approach a little bit trickier to get your birdie. And the basket is kind of hard to see from here, but essentially once you get all the way down to that last tree, it's going to be to the left around that corner that I'm kind of pointed at right now. It's just kind of behind all that stuff in the center of your screen, so can't really show you the basket from the tee. It's somewhat of a blind shot in that way, but essentially just try to stay as straight as you can, try to stay on this fairway, and it'll line you up for a hyzer shot into the green if you're a right-handed player. If you do get really left, there are some options, but it's a lot more difficult, so staying as straight as you can is definitely the goal. All right, so I'm just gonna try to do what I talked about and keep it as straight in the fairway as I can. That'll do. All right, Keith, what are we thinking?
I'm gonna go big hyzer. I'm trying to get to at least that first telephone pole on the right side, maybe between both. And you can't really see there's like 3 lined up there, but
Right.
I'm trying to get into there, like just past that shadow.
Yeah, we got a tail right to left cross, so it's definitely going to carry the disc back to the left. Again, you just want to really try to stay center cut on this fairway. Cuts through to the left, and there is some options over there.
Might be okay.
All right, so I'm about 225 from the basket, so I got maybe a little over 300 off the tee. So just gonna try to throw a little backhand hyzer into the green. Kind of a blind shot for me, but y'all can see it from the camera angle. All right, so Keith trailed off to the left-hand side, but you can see he actually still has a look at the basket. Just a little more technical, not quite as wide open of a shot. Still possible. Oh, and he does a great shot. That is pretty much parked for a bird. All right, so I came a little short, but not too bad. Just kind of misjudged the distance a little bit, but still have a birdie putt here. This basket sits a lot lower than all the rest of them, I will say that, so it does make it a little bit trickier. You have a tailwind as well here. Got it done anyway. All right, so he's got a tap in birdie, so we're both 2 under par now through 7 holes. There is a long transition to hole 8. After you play that basket, you're gonna walk this direction. You're gonna walk past what is actually hole 17's tee pad before you get to like that little bush fence line. And you're just gonna keep walking straight for a decent bit before you wind up hitting hole 8's tee pad. It is a bit of a longer transition, but it is what it is. And we got some fun holes here on the backside of the course. All right, so after walking down the long transition, you'll eventually find yourself over here at hole 8's tee pad. It should have a pylon up soon, but right now it's just marked by some pink flags you can see right there in front of me. And it is basically a long ways up the hill. I think the literal distance is 350 feet, but you have to go on this right-hand side gap, and then you go way uphill to get to the basket. It's a blind shot. Basically, the basket's kind of in the center of the screen, but behind all this stuff. But really the only way to access it is to play up this right-hand side into that mouth right there, and then pitch uphill. It feels like an impossible two without a huge arm. Really all you want to do is just try to land in the open on the right-hand side somewhere so you can pitch up to the basket and try to grab your par. This might be one of the hardest holes on the course in my opinion. Good. All right, so basically I'm just trying to get on the open somewhere to the right so I can try to pitch up to the basket. Again, this is a monster of a hole. See if I can get in this gap. I'm trying to play something wide and kind of hyzer into the gap is kind of the goal. That looks good. That's something at least, maybe, hopefully. All right, Keith's up. Again, we're just trying to find this gap. And Keith's found it. Oh, and it skips up the hill to the center of the hill.
I'll take that.
You take that all day. What a shot. So basically, I'm in the perfect spot just to pitch up and grab my par, more than likely. There's a lot of rollaway potential on this hole. As you can see, it's very downhill here. Also on the left side of the green over here to my left is also incredibly downhill, so a lot of rollaway risk. So really want to make sure that you land here center Then you land up top soft to make sure you get your par. Not give yourself a death putt. Oh, almost kind of get that little run. All right, Keith landed a little bit further up the hill than me and has also a pretty clean look at the basket. Might even be able to get just like a little bit of a run. Again, just got to worry about rollaway risk if you miss.
Oh no.
It's a good layup.
Might be in the lumps.
Yeah, these branches are stuff we just cleaned up and we haven't been able to wood chip yet, by the way. So that will not normally be there, all these down branches you see in the center of the screen. So don't worry about that. It's temporary. Wood chipper on the way. So here's the basket on top of the hill. And this is where I wanted to show you all the risk of rollaways that you have. This is the hill we came up. So that's kind of the mouth and then the hill to get up to the basket. But then if you look this way, there's a pretty huge drop off. So definitely can get pretty scary with your approaches and missed putts. Definitely want to be careful. Luckily, I can kind of just drop my zone in right there. All right, so after you play hole 8, where Keith's standing at, you can come through this little tunnel here. Then you're gonna walk straight ahead past this little dead end road. That little dead end road is actually the tee for hole 16, but you walk past that to get to what is gonna be hole 9's tee. You'll also walk by hole 15's basket. You can kind of see it there on the right hand side of your screen. That's 15's basket. Someone just threw up to it actually. So you walk past all that to get ourselves over to hole 9's tee, which we'll show you here in just a second. All right, so now we're at hole 9, which might be the signature hole of the course, or certainly one of the prettiest holes on the course. It's a par 3, it's very downhill. It's about 380 feet. This is the tee area. It's pretty much a blind shot, but the basket pretty much plays straight behind this big tree right in the center of your screen. I'm gonna move over here left a little bit so you can see it. Gotta get all the way over here. And there it is, way in the background. Plays really far. Definitely one of the hardest holes on the course with it being a par 3, but also one of the prettiest holes to play as well. All right, so really the only gap I see on this hole is just going towards this dead tree, basically off the left side of the tee pad, either as a right-handed player with a big backhand turnover or some type of forehand and hope that you can actually carry it to the basket. Maybe even a roller could be good here if you could lay one down and have it cut roll to the right. There really is no options wide right at all, so you pretty much have to just kind of go up the center and hope for the best. But again, I think this is going to be one of the hardest holes to score on the whole course. Oh yeah. Unfortunately, that never really came out. It just kind of kept turning and then landed, but at least it's an open approach. I'm gonna try a forehand for fun though. I don't think I had the distance to get there, but just kind of want to try it. Well, you know, oh my God, as soon as I said something, that was actually going pretty well. That's probably the safer shot for me to make sure I get my par though. All right, Keith is up. What you thinking here? Backhand turnover?
Backhand. I don't really have a forehand. So I'm gonna try to do, it's a real flippy, it's like F7 or something like that, super flippy. I'm gonna put it on some decent hyzer towards that dead tree and hope it just kind of pans out.
Yeah, that dead tree right there is really the aiming point, I think, and just try to keep it low so you don't hit one of these overhanging branches. That is really flippy. It might even cut roll. Oh, I got some roll on it too. Oh!
Yeah, I got some extra distance, but I think I'm in that like little shrubbery area.
We'll see what we got when we get down there. Again, a very tough hole. All right, I kind of have to get into the tree here a little bit to film this one of Keith, but he's just got here on the left-hand side of that fairway. Pretty easy pitch up for par. Maybe gives it a soft bid. He's been kind of giving them all bids today, so I wouldn't be surprised if he...
This one's got a little bit of ceiling, so I'm still going for it.
Didn't quite get the fade he needed. That'll be at least a good par. All right, so here's where I landed. Didn't quite get the distance. It kind of just kept turning. Didn't really get on edge to skip up towards the basket. So I'm sitting a decent distance away, but should be able to at least get up and down for par. Maybe give it a soft run. A little windy today. better run than I anticipated. All right, so after you play hole 9, you'll just walk down towards the sewer cap and you'll see a tee for hole 10. All right, so now we're at hole 10. It's about 340 feet, and it's pretty much just a stock backhand hyzer shot for a right-handed player. The basket's kind of in a little cut-in the wood line on the left-hand side, but you can actually still see the basket here, or at least the number plate of the basket over the top of some of these little shrubs. Definitely one of the more standard shots on the course, and if you've got the distance, probably one of the easier ones as well. I don't really quite have the distance, I don't think, to get there, especially in this headwind we're facing, so just do what I can, though. Try to make sure I can at least get a 3. All right, headed on the rip that disc apart. At least I'm out in the open. Can pitch up for a par, no problem. All right, now we got Keith up again. Pretty ripping headwind for us today on this hole. Definitely cutting the distance down on our throws. It's a good throw though from Keith. A little short.
Shad cut short.
All right, so I got almost pin high, so I got almost all the distance I needed, but just didn't get enough fade due to the headwind. But I'm probably deep circle 2 or just outside circle 2, so give it a little step attempt and maybe I get it or not. Get my par at least. Oh, I didn't even give that a chance. All right, so Keith, he's probably about the same distance from the pin as I was. Just a little bit of a different position. Ooh, just a little bit of fade at the end, kind of messed him up, but it's another par for us. No one's bogeyed yet, and what, we're 2 under through 10, both of us, so not too shabby. All right, so after you play the hole, you can actually just walk straight ahead through this little tunnel here, and this walking path will take you to the next tee, which is essentially up here, and then to your left you can see the pink flags there. That is the tee for 11. All right, so hole 11 is basically a blind shot with the basket to the left-hand side. It's about 330 to 340 feet. Just gotta hit this gap, fly over this ditch, and then have yourself hyzered out to the left. Definitely requires some decent distance to get there since you're on hyzer pretty much the whole way. I would say this hole probably plays closer to 360 feet just due to that. And again, we're facing that headwind today, so gonna be tough to get, but we'll see what we can do. All right, see if I can not embarrass myself. Oh, wow, dude.
Back in the middle.
Good looking shot here from Keith. Oh yeah, that's really well done. So I actually hit this branch right there and it knocked me straight down. I was actually on line for the basket, but I'm pretty far away, so it's just gonna be a pitch up for par for me. Or throw it in. No, that's a par. All right, Mr. Big McLarge Huge here. Threw it about 70 past the basket. Like a little 400-foot drive. Good bid. Some tap-in pars. All right, so after you play hole 11's basket, you just walk right over to this area here to play hole 12's tee. Kind of a blind shot. It's just under 300 feet. Basket. I'll move over for you can see it. Right there in the background now. So basically, if you're a right-handed player, it's a big backhand turnover or forehand or a lefty backhand or whatever. Really, there's no other gap but to go through this tunnel here, maybe throw over the top of this stuff a little bit, and that's what it is. Yeah, so I think for me, it's like really a blind shot, and I think the aiming point is kind of just this brown shed with a big turnover or a big forehand and just try to get to the basket that way. so that didn't go very well. Caught one of the little early stinky things right in front of the tee pad, so didn't get the flight I wanted. Gotta get up and down. Pretty good. All right, so here's where Keith landed. Got a long putt ahead of him. Outside circle 2. Oh! Oh, get some metal.
Trying to play the wind a little bit.
Yeah, so we're both going to grab some pars on this one, but man, this is a tricky hole. I almost took a huge number. I got kind of lucky I could scramble. Definitely treacherous with this creek here just to the right, so if you overturn something or throw a forehand too sharp, you can easily find yourself in a lot of trouble on the right-hand side of the fairway. So after 12's basket, you'll just walk back towards kind of that bush cluster that was in front of 12's tee pad, and you'll find a little tee pad there just to the left. All right, so here we are on the next hole, hole 13. This is 315 feet. Pretty much dead straight ahead and straight forward. The big danger, though, is that there is an OB ditch just behind the basket. So if you push too deep, you can easily find yourself out of bounds. And if you come up a little too short, you might have yourself a death putt. Other than that, pretty much right there in front of you. All right, I'm just gonna try to play like kind of a hyzer out towards this tree to the right of the basket, and hopefully you can just kind of come in. That's pretty short. All right, Keith up next. Pretty good shot. Should have a putt. Definitely short. What are we gonna do? Gonna be a par. All right, here's Keith. Try to get his birdie.
Oh no.
Unlucky. That's gonna be pars for both of us. All right, so the next hole is just straight past the next basket. Hole 14. It's a little over 600 feet. It's a par 4. Basket's way down there, basically on the ditch line. So it creates a tricky approach shot. Good shot there. So I still got probably 300 feet to go to the pin, if not a little more. You know, we have a tailwind, but for whatever reason that flipped over and went to the right. Yeah, a little short. I'll do it. Here's Keith. He also came up a bit short. Very treacherous green, being this close to the creek.
Oh no.
It's a good layup. I mean, that's a smart play, yeah. So we'll get pars here. All right, so now we're on hole 15, and it's only 300 feet literal distance, but it is way uphill. That's for darn sure. I don't even know how uphill it is. What, like 80 feet or so, maybe?
Yeah, it's quite a lot of elevation there.
Quite a lot. One of the few holes that has a lot of elevation, like in the area. At least somewhere on the middle of the hill, kind of in some junk, but I should be able to pitch up from there. All right, Keith's up, see what he can do here. That fades out, looks good.
Come on. Hey.
Oh, it's up the hill.
Might be deep.
What a legend.
Dustin's down in the brush. It's gonna be thrown up here. Really good approach.
Good?
Yeah, real good.
Little death putt for birdie here for Keith, but close. He's done it. Good birdie. That puts him at 3 under.
First par 3 birdie out here.
Yep. So he's at 3 under. I'm at 2 under because I was able to salvage together a par. And we'll move on to 16. All right. So now we're at hole 16. We're going down the hill we came up towards the creek. 300 feet, but plays a little shorter because it's downhill. Very scary though, because it's pretty close to that creek. So definitely want to try to be a little short, if anything. Well, pin high, just way right. Not terrible. All right, here's Keith.
Definitely some work to do on that one.
Yeah, just fade it out a little hard. This is a tough one because you're throwing downhill, so trying to keep your nose down and straight can be pretty tough. All right, so my camera actually ran out, so now we're using Keith's, but he's got a little work to do on this one. It's a nice safe bid. Get his par, no problem. Let's see if I can get a birdie here on a par 3. Haven't done it yet today up this course. And I won't. All right, so after you wrap up hole 16, you just walk back through that tunnel that you walked through after you played hole 7 to get to hole 8T, which is right there in front of me, that white pylon, and that'll get you back to hole 17. All right, so now we're at hole 17. It's actually a pretty short basket. It might be the shortest hole in the course. It's about 225. It's technically dead straight ahead, but these trees obviously block it. So you can either go wide left and try to move left to right. You can try to go through this low ceiling right gap, or you can play a big spike hyzer kind of over this power line, telephone pole area over here, and try to attack the basket that way. So really kind of pick your poison. I'm gonna try to skip a forehand up there. It's pretty good. I like it. So Keith's deciding he's gonna go backhand turnover wide left. Kind of stalled out on him there. All right, Keith just didn't quite get his a turnover enough, so he's got a long putt ahead of him here. Probably outside circle 2. Take a par on that one. See if I can get a birdie on a par 3 today. Yay!
He did it.
He did it.
He did it.
He did it. He made a putt. Let's go. All right, so now we're finally at hole 18. It is 440 to 450 feet. The basket sits on top of a tree stump, just basically straight ahead. Road right's gonna play us out of bounds. Very, very tough birdie to get unless you got an arm. So just really trying to play this one for par, stay in bounds, give myself a good look for an approach. Not try to do anything silly. We have a bit of a headwind here. I found a way to hit like one of the very few trees on the fairway. Love to see it. All right, Keith, gonna try to hammer one down there. And he did. All right, Keith got some good distance off the tee here, but still outside circle 2. Probably got 80 or so to the basket. And well done. That's going to be a tap-in par.
Squeaks in there.
That is so dumb.
All nubs.
All right, folks, that wraps it up here at the Hobbit. Definitely a challenging course. I mean, a lot of the par threes are really hard to score on, and even some of the par fours require you to have some finesse on the approach shots to get it. But luckily, we finally have the course done. Again, there's only really 2 holes that aren't playable right now due to construction, 5 and 6, but all the rest of the holes are right out there for you to play. We just submitted the U-Disc layout when this video comes out, so now you'll be able to follow the map and be able to play it yourself. And I want to say thanks to Keith King here for hanging out with me, playing the course and mapping it on U-Disc. And what are your thoughts on the course?
I like it. I mean, I know a lot of people probably remember the old Hobbit, and there's some holes that are similar, and however, you know, the layout is quite different. So hopefully you guys can see that on the U-Disc soon as it's ready for you know, approval by U-Disc. And then it is rough. You cannot rely on the ground play here yet. Once the course is probably played through, they'll probably be a lot better with that. But you gotta air them out. So
absolutely, yeah, definitely. A lot of these par threes are definitely ones you really have to work for. I think the only par 3 on the course that felt easy was 17.
Right.
I think all the other par threes felt like you really had to work for them. A couple of the first par 4s we played seemed pretty easy, which was, I think, holes 2 and 7. But even hole 14, you have to be very particular on your landing zone because the approach can be treacherous with that creek right next to the basket. So this course is very demanding. I really enjoy it. It's one of the few courses that features elevation change throughout the course that we have in the area, which is definitely neat to have that. Definitely something we don't really get anywhere else. And yeah, just hoping to kind of keep cleaning this course up, keep polishing it up, and eventually it will be a finished product. And maybe I'll do another video once all the construction is completely done and we have everything finished up and all the T signs in and all that good stuff. But for the most part, it's ready to go. Hope you folks enjoyed the video. See you next time.